I think people had a chance to kind of reassess and to go quiet and to rest and to swim in the sea and to go to the local park and to hang out with your family and to kind of, just kind of almost go into that, the parasympathetic, the kind of rest. And
like a life assessment kind of, isn't it? Wasn't it?
Absolutely. And that was beautiful. And the plane stopped and we could hear the birds singing. And, the pollution was down. And kind of in the last year and a half, everyone's gone back to normal, as in that kind of...
the new normal.
The busy, the kind of running around. So that's really kind of, I feel people really grasp that whole kind of, my mantra is slow down to speed up. So people kind of grasp that when they had to. And now people have gone back to the rat race and the kind of the hamster wheel. And it's like maybe just for people to remind themselves that to slow it down to speed up and to be the tortoise, not the hare.
Just a little taster of what is coming up on the show. But first, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. And also tell your friends and family about this podcast. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to hear any particular topic in relation to sleep or health. Then I will create a show especially for you, just for asking the question. So let's get on with the show.
Before we start today's video, please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.
Welcome everybody back to the Empowering Family Health. I am super excited once again. I am Johann Callaghan, the sleep success coach and your host for the Empowering Family podcast today. Today we have Brian Barnes from Brian Barnes Wellbeing. We're going to be talking all about self-care. Really, really important. Something that so many of us fail to do, and even myself included. I'm a human being as well. So Brian's going to talk to us all about how we can do that and why it is important and why this can lead to our sense of fulfillment and happiness in the world. Everybody wants to be happy. So before I bring Brian in, let me read you his impressive bio. So Brian has a huge passion for holistic health and well-being. And he is also a registered general and mental health nurse, a clinical hypnotherapist. We're going to be talking about that. Life and mental health coach, breathwork and mindfulness teacher, and a partner with people to create unique wellbeing solutions for holistic health. So, Brian, you're very welcome and thanks for being here.
Thanks a million, Joanne. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Let's start at the beginning. So you're a registered health nurse and mental health. Tell us your journey and how you got to that. I'm always curious why you're doing the work that you're doing today in the world.
Okay, wow. Well, I suppose I've been in nursing now for pretty much 30 years. I started off in general nursing and I kind of got into mental health nursing, and I worked in the prison service, addiction services, drug treatment services and intellectual disability. So I suppose I was always really interested in mental health. My grandfather was a psychiatric nurse back in the day. So he was way ahead of his time. He used to bring patients out to matches and to dances and stuff and have them out gardening when he worked in a kind of a mental health hospital, and a psychiatric hospital in Enniscorthy. When it was all kind of behind closed doors, he used to bring them out to gigs and to the pub and kind of, so he was way ahead of his time. So he planted a seed in me around just, being caring and kind and getting people that wouldn't have got a chance to get out into the community. I mean, so I've always kind of had a passion around that. And so I suppose that's the kind of nursing background, the general mental health. I suppose on the side, I've been kind of building up my toolkit. Started off doing Indian head massage, coaching, hypnotherapy, mindfulness, breath work. I've always had a huge fascination around the kind of holistic side of things. I suppose working in medicine and mental health, it's very much the medical model. So I've always been fascinated by kind of self-help and, personal development and psychology. And, so I went down that path with the toolkit that I have.
Really curious.
I'm just always really curious. I'm just a lifelong kind of learner. So I suppose that the foundation that I have is that 30 years of general nursing, mental health nursing, which is a strong foundation. And then I built on that, I've followed my kind of curiosity with the hypnotherapy, coaching, and the mindfulness and the breath work. And I'm so passionate about this, Joanne, because I use all those tools myself, and they have gotten me out of some pretty sticky situations. So I know they work. That's why I'm so passionate about what I talk about.
And we're going to reveal a few things, I think, as well today, Brian, and how people, because I'm really excited, because you have a wealth of knowledge and like years of work in this area, and you were talking about your dad. Was it your dad?
My granddad.
Your granddad. Bringing the people out, the social connection, because that's something that's really, really important that we overlook. And look what happened the last couple of years. Mental health numbers have increased dramatically. They always were bad, but they've really increased. So we have a bit of work on our hands here as holistic coaches and mentors and all that, And what do you see in terms of like mental health? What do you see is the most frustrating thing that's happening at the moment? What are people telling you? Like, what are you seeing as most of your clients are coming to you with problems? What's that one thing that they're really struggling with?
I think for people that I talk to, and for myself, Joanne, I feel that it's kind of since the the lockdowns and everything, and I think people had a chance to kind of reassess and to go quiet and to rest and to swim in the sea and to go to the local park and to hang out with your family and to kind of, just kind of almost go into that, the parasympathetic, the kind of rest. And
like a life assessment kind of, isn't it? Wasn't it?
Absolutely. And that was beautiful. And the plane stopped and we could hear the birds singing. And, the pollution was down. And kind of in the last year and a half, everyone's gone back to normal, as in that kind of
the new normal,
the busy, the kind of running around. So that's really kind of, I feel people really grasp that whole kind of, my mantra is slow down to speed up. So people kind of grasp that when we had to kind of, when you couldn't, go to work and you DIY self-care. And now people have gone back to the rat race and the kind of the hamster wheel. And it's like maybe just for people to remind themselves that to slow it down to speed up and to be the tortoise, not the hare, and to try and kind of keep a sense of that kind of calm and, less busy, less chaos, because it's gone right back. I think it's actually gone into overdrive.
Yeah.
Kind of pre-COVID, it's gone back to that kind of busy. And we have, all the stuff going on in the world at the moment, and a kind of, people feel they have to kind of just get on with it and pull on your socks and get back.
No choice. Yeah.
So I think it's for people to kind of go back into that space of slowing down, to looking after themselves, and being really kind to themselves.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people were kind of asking, they realized during that time, that time of life assessment, if you like. And I think everyone has, I've heard so many people saying this to me, whether you're a therapist or not, everybody's been saying this, they got a chance to see something that they weren't able to see before because they were given that opportunity. And like you said, when everything slowed down, the ability to rest is the body's key to healing. Do you struggle with getting asleep at nighttime, or staying asleep during the night and waking up the next morning feeling absolutely exhausted? My book, How to Get a Good Night's Sleep, is easy to understand, it's solution-based, and it's packed with research to help you take back control of your night's sleep. My book is available on Amazon, and it's also available on howtogetagoodnightsleep.com. This book is also available in audio and ebook. So get your copy today and start having the best night's sleep that you've only ever dreamed of. There's a lovely quote by Viktor Frankl. So Viktor Frankl, he talks about the pause in between the response and the stimulus. That pause in there, that's where everything happens. That's where where you're being present, and And as a sleep coach myself, I talk about exactly what you said, slowing down to speed up, because we're always trying to do and look busy and be busy so that we don't feel guilty that we're slacking off and doing it. And even people, you know, there's a stigma, you know, with sitting back and taking a rest. People are, oh, you're slacking off there now, get up there and get busy now. Look.
Resting on your laurels, kind of, yeah. It's like, well,
like, stop, everybody. Stop doing that. We need to take, you know, and rest can appear in many different forms. So can you tell us, Brian, tell us a few things that we can do to start to slow down, because there is a perception of this busyness. I think the first step is awareness, really, isn't it?
I think it's awareness that you are actually maybe kind of running around a bit and maybe a little bit kind of, you know, hamster on the wheel. And then the key then is to kind of, you know, to have that self-kindness and that self-compassion, because we tend to kind of, you know, kind of start kind of giving out to ourselves, and that makes it kind of worse. So to be gentle with yourself, to be gentle with yourself, and just, I suppose for me, self-care is all about kind of, you know, making small changes. It's all about baby steps. And, you know, like, look, like we've talked before about, you know, there's like I have my own checklist. It's like, I call it my kind of NCT, and it's like there's like, each one is you know, a clue to me to look at my kind of self-care and resilience. It's called MEDALS. So MEDALS. So M is for mental health, E is for exercise, D is for diet, A is for attitude, L is for love, which is, you know, doing what you love with people that you love, and S is for sleep.
Ah, nice. I'm glad you're sleeping there.
Sleep is a huge one. Oh my God, as you know. So like, and again, it's just kind of being able to check in with yourself and, you know, just kind of maybe have a look at each of those areas of your life. Now, of course, we're all on the roller coaster and it's busy and it's kind of, you know, that's just, you know, how it is. But it's just to be able to kind of, I suppose, it's to get quiet and to kind of tune into yourself. And, you know, I talk about self-care, about being from the inside out. Like, a lot of people want the new cream or the tablet or the whatever. And that's, like, there are a lot of kind of good products out there, but like the real core, that really kind of resilience, to build that really strong foundation is from the inside out, as you know. So again, the mental health, exercise, diet, attitude, love, sleep. And, you know, it's to kind of make it a priority, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So it's just to, if you're not doing it, not to kind of give out to yourself, to give yourself a break and say, right, how can I start bringing in small things into my life? Like I said to people, even walking, like walking is so good for your mental health, for your physical health, for your balance, for your, cardiovascular. Like, and I said to people, even a 10-minute walk outside boosts your mood for 90 minutes. So anyone eating their lunch at their desk today, and there's thousands of people probably doing it, get out for 10 minutes and you boost your mood for 90 minutes. It's just those little kind of tips and tricks that will kind of, give you a lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah, there's just so much that we can do. I'm busy writing down all your tips here. There's just so much. First of all, I love your MEDALS acronym. I absolutely love that. And, the attitude was in there for the attitude. So we need to have a really good attitude as well. And the sleep and the love, and be kind to yourself. Be kind and gentle to yourself. That is probably one of the biggest things that we don't do. We are beating ourselves up. You're so right. And that's the very thing that makes us small, and it demotivates us. It disempowers us. And we are our own worst critic. And we wouldn't talk to ourselves the way we talk to, or we wouldn't talk to our friends the way we talk to ourselves. So when you put it into that kind of a light, it's like, oh, wow. So we can do a lot to be kind. Absolutely.
And that self-talk, I talk a lot about that, Johann. We all have 60,000 thoughts a day. And that's pretty much your self-talk. That's your kind of the soundtrack going on in your mind. And the bad news is that can be sabotaging. That can be kind of critical. And, you can have those ants, those automatic negative thoughts. But the good news is you can change the frequency. And, just to practice those positive affirmations, that positive self-talk, and, for people to practice, I am safe, I am calm, I am doing the best I can today.
I am just very powerful.
Yeah, I am. And it's that kind of, it's kind of present and positive. And again, because, like we're programmed to have negative thoughts. That negative bias, like the caveman. If he saw a bush with 100 berries and there was one poisonous berry and 99 lovely juicy berries, he focused on the one poisonous berry because that was going to kill him. So we're programmed to see the one poisonous berry out of the 99, out of the 100 berries. So it's to know that, as you said, it's to know it and to accept it, and it's to say, right, I can. There's nothing wrong with that. That's survival, but you can change that because our brains aren't designed to make us happy. They're designed to keep us alive.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of come on board and kind of bring in that kind of, the softness and gentleness and the kind of self-love, self-care, self-kindness, and the benefits, the ripple effects of that are massive.
Here's one for you. You mentioned about going outside and getting the sunshine and all that here, and 90 minutes of making you feel good. I have an acronym called Get Your Daily Dose, DOSE, D for dopamine, because you get all this with sunlight. And I talk about sunlight or daylight. If you live in Ireland, right, if it's a cloudy day, daylight, it's still just as powerful. You get your dopamine, you get your oxytocin, you get your serotonin, and then the E for endorphins. So these are all the chemicals that make us feel well and happy. And just being outside, even for a half an hour first thing in the morning, it resets the circadian rhythm, gets us set up for the day. It just sets us up for the day ahead, so that's a powerful thing.
Absolutely.
Talk to us about breathing, Brian. That's a powerful thing.
Breathing, I suppose we all do it all throughout the day, usually unconsciously. So again, I talk to people about breathing consciously because your breath is your remote. It's like a remote control for your body and for your mind. So even even for people to realize that, like we can breathe consciously, and that brings the power back for you to control your body and your mind. And a big one is nasal breathing, because that's the most advantageous way to breathe is through your nose. Nasal. Yeah. So if you breathe in through your nose, you're breathing in nitric oxide, which is a gas that's produced by your sinuses. There's a sinus on each side of your nose, paranasal sinus, and that produces nitric oxide, which is a gas, which is an internal gas, which reduces your stress, it reduces your blood pressure and pulse, and increases your immune system. It's actually vasodilator, so it helps cardiovascular, it helps with your concentration, with your mood, with your just sense of well-being. Yeah. So that's a big one, because look, we could talk about mindfulness and meditation, and that's all really good. But I would say to people just to kind of, look at how you're breathing and feel how you're breathing, and to take conscious breaths and in through your nose, out through your nose or your mouth, but in through your nose. That's the key.
Conscious breath. So being aware of your breath and following the breath, that's what really grounds you, doesn't it? And something I learned with the breathing as well, because I think the breathing is so powerful, is that it talks to the nervous system. And it literally, like if you're breathing all the way from, like it makes sense, if we're breathing all the way down into the belly, then we're not running away, we're not threatened, we're not running away from a lion or a tiger, because when we're doing that, we're breathing from up here. So it's like information to the nervous system of our state as well. So breathing, I always tell people to take 3 deep breaths. If they wake up during the nighttime, just can't get back asleep again, to take 3 deep breaths, just to tell your body that I'm safe, first of all. And and there's the breathing is just such a part, and we don't breathe right, like, and we need breathing for survival. We can only survive 3 minutes or something without breathing. So
you have to do it. Well, look, I think you should do it, and you have to breathe anyway. So it's either do it consciously or unconsciously.
Yeah.
And to do it unconsciously, like you're not in control of it. And as you said, you can go into that kind of sympathetic nervous system, which is the kind of fight or flight. You're breathing kind of through your mouth, and you're breathing kind of shallow breaths into the top of your chest. Whereas if you breathe in through your nose, you're doing it consciously. You're actually the air will be warm, so it's more kind of beneficial for your body. You're breathing deeper down into your diaphragm, and you're turning on that parasympathetic that kind of rests and digests, and you're just more in control. And it calms and restores every part of your body.
And the nitric oxide is a big one as well, isn't it?
the nitric oxide, like the fact that this is, being made by the body, it's kind of an internal medicine. Do you know what I mean? So, it's amazing.
Jesus, it's just incredible. When we have this information, it's incredible what we can do. And even just doing this periodically while you're waiting in the car at the traffic lights, we can do that deep breathing that you're talking about as well,
Absolutely. I said to people, if you remember, like there's lots of different combinations, millions, but like 3, 4, 5. So I said to people, breathe in through your nose for 3.
Yeah.
Hold for 4,
yeah,
and out for 5. Because by holding it for longer than you breathe in, you're telling your body, right, I'm safe, I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
And then for breathing out for longer again, it's kind of doubling down on that, and you're telling your body and your mind that you're safe, you can, you're in control, everything's cool.
Yeah, you're right. Keep it simple, because there is a lot of different techniques. And I think the bottom line is, what I've learned is the out breath is longer, and that's what calms us down. Once the out breath is longer, you're slowing everything down.
Yeah, because again, the opposite is breathing kind of rapidly in through your mouth. Your in breaths are longer. Yeah, and that kind of, that does, now there are benefits with that, with Wim Hof and the cold water, but like to kind of turn that on its head and for kind of a longer lasting kind of calming effect. And yeah, just to bring your body into that kind of repair and that kind of rest.
Very, very important. And it helps us sleep better at night as well, because it can help us be more resilient to stress as well by breathing that way periodically during the day. And then if you wake up during the night, or any stressful moments that you're having as well, obviously. Talk to us about hypnotherapy now. I'm really curious about this, because this is something that you practice quite a lot and you're finding a lot of good results. What is hypnotherapy, just for people who don't really understand it, and what makes it stand out?
Okay, well, hypnotherapy is, I suppose, it's one of the gentler therapies, and it's very solution focused. And really, what it is, you're working on the subconscious, and the subconscious is where our kind of emotions and our beliefs and our kind of our thoughts kind of come from. And it's about, like, for people, it's really about using the subconscious to their advantage, because that's the powerhouse of the mind. So with hypnosis, basically you go into a kind of a restful state. So people, have probably seen, the eyes closed, and you're kind of, and you're in a restful state, and your focus and attention is, they say it's increased by about 1,000%. So like you're just really focused.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And the good news is you're able to reprogram your subconscious. So you're able to kind of reprogram and rewrite the script, basically, so you're able to, rewrite the script. And, it's used for, I suppose, the big ones are weight loss and smoking. But like, I've worked with clients around anxiety, depression, insomnia, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic pain, lots of different kind of medical stuff that people wouldn't really kind of think about. But it's about kind of reprogram, because we've all been programmed from a very young age. So it's about deprogramming what's in there and kind of reprogramming what you want happen in your life. So like, it's very kind of solutions focused. It's kind of goal orientated. So it's very kind of proactive, and like there's a positive result coming from it.
Yeah, I really resonate with that. I really hear that, because we've been programmed for such a long time, and they say like up to the age of 7, everything just goes in. There's no questions asked. It's literally taken. It's believed or whatever from our parents. We just believe in sanity and all this kind of thing. We just believe, we don't question all these things, right? And then as we get older, and they say the mind doesn't mature till we're 20, 25 or whatever. So the brain is still developing, and we're programmed by society, by our parents, by our teachers, by social media. There's just so much going on outside, and your whole mission is about working from the inside. So once we're comfortable with the inside and we know who we are, then we're not triggered, by our outside world type of thing, and we can find what it is that we want. I think that's what's really important, is to understand what it is that we want as human beings, and then go after it. And this is what you do in the hypnosis. Would that be right? Would that be after?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you're kind of doing it from the inside out, because as you said, like, there's so many distractions, and there's so much programming going around, on the news and on social media. And it's about kind of, like redesigning your own kind of inner kind of landscape. And that's, you know, that's the beautiful part, because, you know, again, it's kind of goal orientated. It's, you know, it's about you kind of rewriting that script and kind of, you know, reprogramming the things that you want to happen.
That's really important. And I think when you ask a lot of people, I find this now, I don't know about you, Brian, I'm sure you do. When you ask people, what is it that you want? What would you really love to have? And they don't know. I mean, they might say more money or something like that. But like, let's pretend you had all the money in the world, right? What would you really, really love to have? And people find that really, really difficult, you know, to discover. And with the hypnosis, I suppose all the mental chatter is blocked out, and it's a safe space, a quiet place where they can discover that, maybe go back to their childhood, what it was that they really enjoyed doing as a child, you know, because it's childlike, you know, all the childness has gone out of us when we're adults, you know, and that's why I love the hypnotherapy. It's so safe, and it really brings you inwards to discover what it is that you love about yourself, what you want to do, and then create your goals from there.
Exactly. And it's interesting that you say that, because I've done a lot of the last couple of years myself, that kind of inner child work. And John Bradshaw, he was the kind of the expert on inner child work. He was an American psychologist. He wrote a book called Homecoming, and that's all hypnosis. That's all kind of going back to your inner child, and, you know, kind of reassuring and being kind of, you know, encouraging and supportive if, you know, you didn't have that, you know, when you were a kid. So it's really, as you said, it's about kind of changing the landscape, changing the kind of chatter in your head, and, you know, turning that into something positive. So, you know, like it's really positive, it's really powerful. Again, it's very gentle, and it's kind of going from the inside out, which brings her around the longest lasting changes, you know what I mean?
Great.
And the longest lasting benefits.
Yeah, because you know, we think we can't do this and we can't do that and we're not good enough, but it creates the possibilities so you can see it. And it's important that we can see, you know, or create a vision. We talk about vision and imagination. It's important that we can see that, visualize it and feel it and sense it and all the rest, and then go for it. But it's creating them possibilities. And something that I want to touch on as well is when it comes to, you know, our minds are so wired and what have you, we're habitual then, you see, and we automatically do these things. So this hypnotherapy is like breaking bad habits or maladaptive habits. And then we can go into addiction, like that's a whole other. And when we talk about addiction, we think of smoking and drinking, but it's our daily maladaptive habits. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And look, there's a lot more addictions these days. You know, there's kind of online stuff and porn and, you know, lots of different stuff. So again, and like, look, we could talk to Christmas about addictions, because again, they say that comes from that kind of that wounded inner child. And so again, to be able to self-soothe and to kind of be much more encouraging, and again, like that self-talk, it's about, you know, like as you said there, like, you know, like about people thinking that I can't, like, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So if you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can, you're right. So again, it's just, you know, whether you're into inner child stuff or not, even just in present day, just the practicalities of, you know, being positive, being more positive self-talk, and just being kind of kinder to yourself, you know, like that benefits you, that benefits your family, your friends, you know, the ripple effect of that go out to the world.
I think the bottom line with this whole conversation is this, you know, this feeling of being safe, because the reptilian brain, the subconscious brain, is always trying to keep us safe. So when we have that sense of safety through doing these practices and unlearning all these, you know, about how I'm creating a new story as well. You mentioned that as well. I'm creating a whole new story around it. And then, so the safety element and, be kind. So by being kind to ourselves, stop giving ourselves such a hard time, and the affirmations, and they're powerful, like, and the affirmations can be whatever feels right. Like just fill in the blanks. I am blah, 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 and fill in the blanks what feels right and powerful to you. And I created a word, grace, like when you have your acronyms, grace is my one, grace. So obviously have grace for yourself, be forgiven, forgive yourself, right? Grace, and G is for gratitude. So gratitude is something I use to help me raise my vibration. R is for rest, very important, resting during the daytime and obviously our sleep. A is for acceptance, accepting where we are. Again, not beating ourselves up. That's G or A. C is choice. We have the power of choice, very important. And you were talked about that choice. And then E is energy, minding your energy. So minding your energy state, and be careful who you're hanging around with, because we're hanging around with loads of negative people and having that negative conversation that brings your energy down, and you can't create any possibilities from that place. So I really hear the whole, be kind to yourself, have compassion for yourself, forgive yourself, create that safety for yourself, and start with the inside out. That's really important. Tell us what kind of work that you're doing in the world, Brian, because I know you do talk and speaking, and do you have courses? What kind of work do you do?
Well, I suppose the day job is I work as a mental health nurse, and then with Brian Brown's Wellbeing, I see clients with hypnotherapy and coaching and breathwork and the mindfulness, and I love kind of doing that, doing workshops and kind of sharing about stress reduction, positive mental health. And I also have a podcast, that kind of Mind You podcast that you were on recently. Yeah. And I suppose, again, that's kind of getting that word out there about self-care. It's about talking to experts like yourself about the work that they do, and then, how they self-care. So it's getting that message out there about, again, kind of, like what can people do in their own home, and that kind of DIY element of self-care. And so I suppose, and again, I know this stuff works because I've used it for my own physical health, mental health, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, just getting that word out there for people, just to get that kind of sense of ownership on this, and again, to do it from the inside out, and to get that ripple effect out into the world. Because if you're working on yourself, your family benefits, your friend benefits, your colleagues, the whole world. So, I don't want to sound too corny, but it's just to get that ripple effect out, because it affects everybody that you know, and, everybody that they know, and, it's just a beautiful ripple effect.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in good form, think about it, like, you're a joy to be around. People want to hang out with you. I'm sure we all have somebody in our lives where, someone's coming over to visit and you go, oh no, not her again. I'm not dealing with her. Like, they're going to be complaining and moaning. Actually, it's interesting. I did an exercise with a course that was on a long time ago about complaining. And we had to write down and count how many times we complained in one day. I drove to the school one morning to drop my daughter off to school, and there must have been about 30 times that I complained by the time I got back home. And I went, oh my God, I never knew I complained that much.
That's exactly, it drains your energy, and that kind of drains you from the inside out, because you're looping that kind of negative, the kind of negative thought, the negative words, and the complaining, and it literally drops your energy. So that's the bad news. The good news is you can change that.
Yeah, and I think once I noticed it, you see, and that's the worst. Like, once you notice it and you're aware, and you can help people to become aware with the hypnotherapy, where it is, what's blocking them in their lives, because a lot of people don't know what's blocking them, what's stopping them, why they're feeling unhappy, why they're unproductive, all these things, and you can help them to achieve that through your hypnotherapy and the services that you provide, your speaking events as well. I've seen you post some speaking things that you've been doing, and it's just incredible work, Brian, what you do, and it's really, really needed. And give yourself the gift of having a chat with Brian, about your mental health, because when you are living from a place of power, where you are empowered to live the life that you want, and you know what it is that you want, and my God, you can be you'd be healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, be healthy on all levels, and you'll have that longevity with a good quality of life. This is what it will give you, when you're living from a place of happiness and contentment and all of that, And life is a roller coaster, but I think life is challenges and learning as we go along. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Look at Johann, I'm definitely living on a roller coaster the last few years, like everyone else. Like, nobody has it sorted. Nobody has all the answers. Like, for me, I have my challenges, physical, mental health stuff, family, kind of life. So, it's not, you'll never be able to change that, what's on the outside, but you can change what's on the inside. That's the good news.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love, there's a kind of a quote that's come to me the last few years. Don't try and calm the storm. Calm yourself and the storm will pass.
Oh, it's like dancing in the rain. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, I love that quote. It's so true. It's so true. So powerful. So powerful. Brian, where can people find you?
Well, let me see. I am mainly, I suppose, at brianbarneswellbeing.com. That's my website. And it has all the links to my social media and my podcast. The podcast is called Mind You. It's on Spotify and Apple and Google. But you'll find everything about me at my website, brianbarneswellbeing.com.
Yeah, and I'd recommend people have a listen to your podcast. I was listening to some episodes, listening to somebody about rapid transformation as well, that therapy, there's loads of therapies, but you have some incredible people on, you know, with incredible insights and just that conversation. And I love what you said about, you know, that you're a human being too and you have your challenges, because that's very comforting.
Yeah.
You're not perfect, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, far from perfect. But again, it's just, you know, it's just kind of having that toolkit and being able to kind of bring it into every day, doing the best that you can, and, you know, kind of being kind to yourself.
Yeah. Well, Brian, listen, it's been wonderful having you here today. Really insightful. Love talking to you. You're a man on a mission, and I really respect the work that you're doing in the world. You know, because it's making the world a better place for me. You know, and so thank you for that. And listen,
thank you, Johann, and thanks for doing all the amazing work that you do. Keep it all up.
Yeah, no, it's great. No, together we're stronger, isn't that what they say? We need each other. So listen, Brian, have a wonderful day, and thanks for being here, and thanks for sharing all this wonderful, insightful information.
You too. Thanks for having me, Johann. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
If you like this podcast, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends, share it with your family, and do send a donation in. So there's links in the show notes there. So you can send a donation in, you know, a once-off donation or a monthly donation. You can support me on Patreon. So because, you know, putting these podcasts on does cost money. So and if you want to continue hearing these podcasts, it would be great if you can support me with any kind of donations. So that would be fantastic.